Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. It's been a little over 2 weeks since my trip to Los Angeles with Tom Ford Beauty, and if you can believe it, I have yet to try any of the new products they so generously sent me home with while I was there. So for today's video, we are finally going to dive into this bag together. That way I can share my review, share my thoughts, and do a little demonstration using these products. My original plan was that this would be my Makeup Monday video for the week, but unfortunately my apartment complex is under a huge construction project. They're renovating the pool. So they have been drilling nonstop for over a week. I actually attempted to film this video over the weekend. I was unsuccessful. Today is supposed to be the last day of drilling and it sounds like things have quieted down a bit, so we're gonna try this again, but you might hear some construction noises, some drilling. We're just going to power through anyway. But let me begin by sharing all of the new products. Here we have the Tom Ford Research Cleansing Concentrate. This is the new Traceless Soft Matte Primer. I was able to feel this on the back of my hand at the Tom Ford Beauty event. It goes on like a clear gel, but it feels very smooth. So I'm going to test this out today underneath the Traceless Soft Matte Foundation. In order to do that, I need the Traceless Soft Matte Foundation, so they sent me home with 6 Natural, which is my Tom Ford foundation shade. I have 2 shades of the new Shade and Illuminate blush. This is 02 Explicit Flush. This was one of Lynn's favorites, so I knew I had to take this home. I love a peachy, warm-toned blush, especially over the summer. And if you missed my Blush 101 video, I will link it down below. This is the perfect shade of blush to dust over the bridge of your nose to give you that naturally sun-kissed glow. I also picked out 06 Aflame. I was drawn to that really pretty light Barbie pink. This is the Sheer Highlighting Duo in Reflex Gilt. It's an older shade, it's been around for a few years, but it is so beautiful, and I don't have this in my collection already. I was so excited when I saw this in the bag. Here we have a new eye-defining pen and the Emotion Proof Mascara. Now this really excites me. I have all 3 Eye Color Quad Cream eyeshadow palettes. This is the brand new formula. This is 36 Tiger Eye. This is number 35 Rose Topaz. This is 37 Smoky Quartz. I picked out 2 lipsticks. Spanish Pink is currently at the bottom of my purse. This is number 67, Pretty Persuasive. And finally, the Gloss Luxe Lip Gloss in shade 24, Honeyed Coral. For today's makeup look, I decided on the 35 Rose Topaz eyeshadow palette. Smoky Quartz is very smoky, and the Tiger's Eye is a warm neutral palette, which I usually use. So I went with the cooler toned palette, and then 06 Aflame is going to be the blush. I got as far as swatching this palette the first time, and they swatched beautifully. Very different from what you might expect. So I really like this palette for a number of reasons. I love the fact that they give you a perfect transition shade. You have this sparkly pop if you want something more dramatic. You have a deep shade, and then you have this really pretty kind of taupey gold champagne. I think this is one of the most complete quads from Tom Ford in that you look at it and you kind of instinctively know exactly what you're going to do. I'm going to try something a little bit different today, but I want to go ahead and swatch these again for you. So you can see this is the perfect tan. The texture is very creamy, but it is still a powder eyeshadow. Go ahead and swatch that. Going into the gold shade right here, this is more of a satin finish. And it truly looks like skin. You can see it kind of blends right into my hand. The texture is creamy, but it's not overly pigmented. It's still a bit sheer. Next, I'm going into this grayish pop shade. It kind of looks like platinum. It's gorgeous. And what I love about this sparkly eyeshadow in this palette is that because it has that creamier texture, you get no little flecks. It just kind of lays on the skin and it adheres a lot better than some of the other sparkle shadows, which I love those as well, but I think this formula just works better for the sparkle. And then we have the deep chocolatey brown. Now this is very intense. It's so dark, it's more like dark chocolate. It's not really a warm, rich cocoa. It's more of a deep, almost black. It's so dark. And this is going to be the most intense shade in the palette. Together, they make a beautiful neutral eyeshadow quad, very complete and user-friendly. I'm starting with eyes today, so I'm going to prime my lids with the Shade and Illuminate Concealer. I use shade 0C0 Bare. Just a little bit. I love this concealer beneath the eye. I think it makes a great shadow primer. I'm so impressed with that concealer. And it does have skincare benefits, but the reason I love it so much is because it just looks really beautiful. It has hyaluronic acid, I think a few other skincare ingredients, which is almost expected these days. It's not just luxury brands that are adding skincare to their complexion products. It's a huge trend right now in beauty, and I love it. With a Refer 27 brush, I'm picking up this matte tan eyeshadow, and I'm going to begin by buffing this in the crease as a transition shade. It's very light. It's not going to give us a ton of color, but it will help to blend other eyeshadows, and it just establishes a nice base of color. I can't begin to tell you how happy it makes me that they've slowed down on the drilling. I can still hear them doing something out there, but it's not nearly as bad as it was. And I know it's going to be a beautiful project, and they have to get the work done. So I've tried to just stay peaceful, remain calm, not get too frustrated at the situation, but there was no communication. Like, nobody in the building knew that they were going to start drilling in the first place, and the date has continued to change of when it's supposed to end, and it just sounds so loud. I have almost like a ringing in your ears. I have a drilling in my head. It has sounded like they were drilling in my brain for an entire week. Slowly but surely, I've been going crazy in here, trying to stay preoccupied and not get upset, but losing my mind. Next, with a flat shader brush, I'm picking up the gold shade in the top corner, and I am applying this to the lid. And you can see that it goes on pretty light. It's still a very sheer eyeshadow, even though the texture is creamy. It's more like a flesh-toned second skin. It's very reflective, so it's nice for a very natural, everyday makeup look. Most Tom Ford products aren't going to give you that really dramatic, artistic makeup style. They're really intended to be used for a classic, more natural makeup look. Using my finger, I'm picking up the sparkly shade of the palette. These are always best applied with fingers. You can attempt with a brush, but they're just not going to go on nearly as nice. And I am going to apply this basically all over that gold eyeshadow. I used the gold as almost a base, and then this is going to lay on top. It's such a pretty color, and you can build up the intensity depending on how much sparkle you want. I like the sparkle to cover the entire eyelid because then it just looks wet. It's very reflective and so pretty and light in photographs. For this next part, I'm picking up one of the little applicator tools that came with the palette. Not the tool that has the brush on one side, but the other little tool. It looks like a traditional eyeshadow sponge on one side, and then the other side is tapered. It's a little bit smaller. It's almost like an eyeliner or a smudger brush. That's the side we want to use. I haven't tried this technique before. I've seen it done, so I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but we have to at least try. It's just makeup. So with that loaded on the brush, I'm going to smudge along the top lash line, but I'm concentrating on the outer half of the lash line, and I want to keep this pretty low. Instead of my usual darker shade in the outer V kind of blended out, we're going to attempt a smudgy eyeliner. And this brush, this applicator, is actually perfect for it. Now here's where it might get a little messy, but you have to trust the process. We're going to create a little wing. Doesn't have to be precise, just wing it out a little bit. Then I'm going to pick up the little applicator that has the brush, and I'm going to use that to smudge and buff out the lash line. So this is what it should look like. It's pretty nuts, but as long as that is nicely smudged and blended, you're on the right track. Before I clean it up and make it look pretty, I'm going to do the other side. So same thing with my little sponge, concentrating on the outer half of the lash line. have a little Chanel cotton here. I just applied some makeup remover and I've created a straight edge. And now I'm going to clean up the under eye. And I'm going to create a little eyeshadow wing. So I'm kind of cutting into that really dramatic eyeshadow. And then of course, if there's any eyeshadow that fell on the cheeks, we can clean that up. But now I have a nice crisp line right there, but it's soft and smudgy. That's why it's really important to blend the top. It's not as important to do the bottom of the wing because you're going to clean up the line anyhow. You just want to make sure it's darker at the bottom and then you blend on top of the line so it gives you kind of a soft ombre effect. That's one of the cool details about this eyeshadow palette that I learned from the Vice President of Education and Artistry, Lynn, when I was in Los Angeles. She showed me how this eyeshadow goes on really deep and dramatic, but you can still manipulate it. So if I were to kind of blend this out with my fingers, and of course I find it to be even easier with a brush. You might find it easy with fingers. It creates a really pretty, very well blended ombre. It's not bad for a first attempt. I think the key is you have to blend even more than you think you have to. You really do have to trust the blending. But this side I think looks a little bit better than this side. But I like the technique and I'm excited to see what it looks like when the rest of the makeup is done. Because of course when all you have on is eye makeup, it looks a little bit weird. Moving on to the face, I have this new primer to try. This is the Traceless Soft Matte Primer. It's a clear gel and it's supposed to mattify the T-zone. So you can almost spot prime with this. Oh, it actually looks creamier. It's kind of a creamy gel texture. Oh yeah, once you start to blend it and spread it around, it does look clear. I sometimes still get a little bit oily in my T-zone, so I'm definitely going to apply it there. And then a little bit on my cheeks as well, right in the center. I'm not just going to apply it all over the face because I really don't want to mattify my entire face. Just the key areas. I can see that it has already mattified the shine that I had from my moisturizer. Yeah, and it dries down to a powdery finish. Like now it feels powdery. It doesn't look powdery, but it just feels very velvety. And then I'm going to apply the Traceless Soft Matte Foundation. I'm going to start with one pump, and then I can always add more, but it's very thin. So I just want to see how far that will go. Again, my shade is 6 Natural. I thought I was going to be cute and use my fingers, but that was turning into a disaster, so I picked up my brush. This is the BK Beauty 101. It turned out so much better than I thought it was going to. It started out a bit rough when I was using my fingers to apply the foundation on top of the primer. I just didn't like the combination. They weren't working well together. As soon as I went in with the brush and a little bit more product, everything blended really nicely. It's a very matte finish. I don't know if it's too matte, but it's more matte than I'm used to seeing myself. I don't necessarily think I need my products to be this matte. I actually like the combination of balancing your primer and foundation, especially if you have more normal skin. If you go in with a matte foundation, maybe try an illuminating or a really hydrating dewy primer and vice versa. Unless you need oil control throughout the day, then of course a mattifying primer and a matte foundation makes perfect sense. Going in with my shade in Illuminate Concealer. I'm so excited. I am going back to California on Friday for a long weekend. This time around, I am going to Palm Springs with a couple of my girlfriends. We're going to attend the Revolve Festival. So I need to pack maybe do a little shopping, definitely packing this week. And I am planning to vlog the trip again. And I might do a shopping packing vlog as well, sort of the prequel to the actual vlog, if you would be interested in seeing that. I don't typically like to travel so soon after another trip, but I'll never miss out on an opportunity to travel with girlfriends. It's always so much fun, so I'm really looking forward to it. And I feel like I'll be even more prepared this time around since I just left California. I know how to tweak all of my skincare and makeup products that I take with me. I'm going to be an expert packer. I'm not going to forget my little Bluetooth remote like I did last time. I have a funny story to share with you about my last trip. So when I was in California the last time, I brought this concealer, all of my typical Tom Ford products. I did a couple face masks, and I felt really good about my skincare routine. My skin felt very hydrated, supple, dewy when I was in the hotel room. So I thought my makeup was going to go on and last beautifully, exactly the same way as it does here in the very humid Miami climate. Boy, was I wrong. So in the hotel, it looked gorgeous, but after just a few hours out and about in that dry desert California air, my face looked like the Grand Canyon. Cracks, crevices everywhere, so dry. I knew my lips would be dry, I knew my legs, my body would be dry, but I thought moisturizer would do the trick, but no. After a few hours, my concealer was cracked so bad. And I was due for Botox, so as soon as I came back to Miami, I made my appointment, and I had to go to somebody new because the lady who usually does my Botox is out on maternity leave. So I went to somebody new. I read some reviews online. I actually went to an office that's closer to me, and he's an MD. Amy, who usually does my Botox, is a PA. So I thought I was in really good hands. I was being very smart about it. When I left that office, I had a laundry list of recommendations. I thought I was going to be in and out 20 minutes, like the typical routine, just get Botox in crow's feet, the forehead, that's the only thing that I treat, and then I would be done. But he made so many recommendations that I left with a list, not a bill, but a list of things that totaled $3,500. I was shocked. I didn't get anything else done. I stuck to my original treatment plan, which is Botox for crow's feet and then the two sections of the forehead, these two right here, which is what I've been doing for the past 4 years now. I started getting Botox at 31. I'm now 34, turning 35 in July this year. And I've been so happy with the results. I love what I do now, but I'm thinking about maybe going back to him and getting the rest of the recommendations. If I do, I will let you know everything that I have done. It really wasn't anything that dramatic, just a few other subtle tweaks. I'd inquired about a couple different laser treatments that I've heard a lot about lately, like the Morpheus 8. People love their results. I'm very interested in getting that done. But I need to find the right office because I think that makes a huge difference. Usually I would go in with powder and bronzer next, but because we have a new blush here to test, I don't want to apply bronzer first. That way you can really see what these colors look like on the cheek. And I have a lot of matte products on my face, so I just dusted a teeny tiny bit of translucent powder right underneath the eye. Not much. I didn't want to powder heavily today because I already have a pretty matte complexion. So with this Sephora Pro Contour 79 brush, I've picked up our Aflame, 06 Aflame, and I think I'm going to, I don't know, should we mix them? I'm going to start with the lighter shade of pink because this is really what stood out to me. And I'm just going to dust that right on the cheek. This shade reminds me a lot of the Dior Rosy Glow that is super popular, that has been sold out. Oh, wow. I love, love, love this light pink. It's so pretty, especially for spring, summer. It looks very fresh. Next, I pulled out my Giant Bronzer Compact so I can warm up the complexion a bit. This is one of the prettiest bronzers. And I picked this up on sale from Saks Off Fifth. So I think it was half the price. It was maybe $40. $40 or $50. Might have been more than 50% off. This is another one of the new products they gifted me. It's a highlighter compact, the Sheer Highlighting Duo in Reflex Gilt. This is an older compact. I know they've recently launched a new duo. I think that one is a blush highlighter, but this is just highlighter. You have a gold and then a bronze. So I'm going to stick with the gold. I think this might be a little bit too deep for the face. Can probably use it on shoulders and parts of the body with the sunless tan, of course, but I think this will be pretty. Ooh, I love the color. It's slightly gold, but kind of blends into the skin, which I like. I think that's just more flattering in general. Ooh, it's pretty. I just wiped off my little sponge and I'm going into this tan shade up here. I don't want to go into the deep chocolatey shade because that will be too smoky underneath the eye. So ooh, I'm going to go into this shade. And I am going to run that beneath the lower lash line. Just so there's a little something down there. It's going to help us define the eye without shrinking the eye. How did everyone make out with their Sephora haul? Did you pick up some really great things? If there's anything you're excited about, let me know. I think I did a pretty good job this time around. I picked up items that I really wanted to try, or I restocked products that I use constantly, but I didn't really go overboard. And now, maybe not this month, maybe next month, maybe this month, I am going to go on a no-buy. Haven't decided the terms just yet, whether I'm going to go for a month, 2 months, maybe a few weeks. But I'm definitely going to slow down my spending. My goal is to end the year with less makeup than I started it with. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I'm going to do my best. With my eye defining pen, I'm going to line the top lash line, and I'm not going to take it all the way in. I'm just going to kind of follow this little wing we have, and I'm going to do a teeny tiny little wing. But I really want the majority of this eyeliner to be the eyeshadow. But I'm just going to kind of create a little bottom. There we go. And I did create a teeny tiny baby wing, and I just kind of followed the eyeshadow wing. I did just a little bit of eyeliner on the inside. I didn't even connect it all the way, just a teeny tiny bit. And I did a little bit of an inner wing, just to kind of fake a longer eye shape. There we go. Very subtle. I want it to be barely even noticeable. I thought my blush was sitting a little bit too low, so I just picked up my foundation brush with no additional product and started to blend kind of the bottom half of the face, just so I could make sure it didn't sit any lower than my natural indentation of my cheeks. I filled in my eyebrows off camera, I did a little mascara. I wanted to keep the lashes very wispy, and I don't like to apply false lashes on a daily basis. That is just never going to happen for me. But I do think the makeup look would look even better with maybe like a half lash or just an outer corner lash to give that dramatic, kind of wispy, romantic look to the eye. Just a few more little details before lips. I picked up a tiny precision brush and I'm going into the gold highlighter and I'm going to pop this in the inner corner of the eye. It's the smallest thing, but it makes such a huge difference. It just opens up the eye and it makes them look really sparkly and beautiful. And I'm also going to use this on the brow bone as well. Perfect. I think I'm going to love this lip combination. So I have the lip color in 67, Pretty Persuasive, and the Luxe Gloss in 24, Honeyed Coral. Both of these are stunning individually, but I think together this will look really nice. It's pink! It's a lot more pink than I thought. I thought it was going to be more of a berry. There we go. I just blotted it down a bit. That way I still have the color, but it's not really thick on the lips. Now I'm going to top that off with this lip gloss. Let's see. Pretty, pretty. I'm trying to decide if I need anything else, like if there are any other little tweaks. I skipped eyeliner in the waterline, which I typically will apply a light brown every single day, but I wanted to keep the look a little bit lighter. But now it just looks blank, but I am going to just skip it. I'm going to refrain from adding any more eyeliner. And I think the eye turned out pretty nice considering this is the first time I've tried that smoky eyeshadow eyeliner technique. I think I brought it in a little bit too far. I need to keep it concentrated maybe at the outer third instead of the outer half. But I'm still really happy with it. I don't think it's a bad makeup look overall. So now let me give you my final thoughts on all of these new products. Well, at least my first impressions, since this is the first time I've been playing around with them. I like the primer. I don't know if it's something that I necessarily need all the time, but I could see different scenarios where I'll be happy that I have such a mattifying primer on hand. I love the foundation. I think the combination of the two looks really nice. It looks very smooth. The foundation was very perfecting, even though it's thin and lightweight. I love the blush. The blush and this lip combination I think are, and I really like the eyeshadow palette, but the blush and the lips I think go beautifully together. I absolutely love that really pale pink in the duo. I love the Tom Ford lip glosses, and the shade of lipstick is so much fun. It's very springtime, very happy. This eyeshadow palette is so pretty. I really like these colors. It's kind of a more neutral to cool toned neutral palette. It's just not really warm. Nothing is pulling orange on me. If anything, cooler tones tend to pull a little bit blue or a little bit gray on my eyes. I don't know why, but when I look in the viewfinder or when I look in the mirror, everything just looks blue or kind of icy silver, which is why I generally go for warmer tones because I wear more gold than I do silver, but I do think it looks very nice. It's a very sophisticated palette. I love the textures. The name might be a bit, I don't want to say deceiving, but maybe a bit confusing because you think, ooh, it's going to be a cream eyeshadow palette. All of these colors are going to be really intense, opaque, so pigmented. And this one is the deeper shade, but the rest are a little bit lighter. I like it. I think it's more wearable. I think it's better for natural makeup or just pretty flattering makeup. It's not going to give you that artistic MAC, Pat McGrath Labs, really intense look. If that's what you're looking for, I don't think Tom Ford is even the brand for you. I think you need to look at other brands of eyeshadow. But if you like the idea of just a smoother texture with your eyeshadows, then I think you will really like this. The benefit of it being a creamy texture is that you don't get a lot of fallout. It goes on very easily. They blend beautifully. And I think it's a very complete, cohesive quad. This is the type of quad that you can use for daytime, for evening. You can kind of do everything with it. I have two other cream palettes to play around with, but so far this Rose Topaz is beautiful. I would recommend this. We did the unthinkable, the unimaginable. We made it through this video with zero drilling. I am so happy. Fingers crossed that means they finished the project and I should be able to get back on track and back to my schedule moving forward. But that completes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing the demonstration and hearing my thoughts on all of these new Tom Ford products. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments, questions down below. As always, I will be linking everything mentioned. Everything on my face will be listed down in the description box for your convenience. And for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.